Now we're going to talk about the settings. We're going to go ahead and do Tom 1 first. Using the function down, tells us the MIDI note is 47, gain is 10, the velocity curve is linear, threshold is 10, crosstalk is 7, the re-trigger cancel is at 5, and the trigger type is PP for piezo. Next is Tom 2. The note is on 45, gain is 10, velocity curve linear, threshold is 10, crosstalk is 7, re-trigger cancel 5, trigger type PP. My low tom, the trigger note is 43, gain is 10, linear curve for velocity, threshold is 10, crosstalk is 7, re-trigger cancel is 5, trigger type is also PP. The snare drum head is note 38, gain is at 8, velocity curve is linear, threshold is 7, crosstalk is 7, re-trigger cancel, notice I have it set low, it's at 2, and the reason it's set low is you want to be able to pick up rolls on your snare drum. Trigger type is PP. Next we'll do the rim of the snare. The note is set at 40. Gain is 10. Velocity curve is still linear. Threshold is 10. Crosstalk 7. Re-trigger cancel is 3. Trigger type is still PP for that drum. Now we're going to move to the kick drum. The trigger note is 36. Gain I've got turned up to 20. And you'll change that if you're getting too strong of a kick, or if you're getting double triggers, you may want to lower that down some. The velocity curve is linear. Threshold is higher. I notice I've got it at 64, and that's to eliminate any double triggering of the kick drum. Crosstalk is 1. The re-trigger cancel is 10. Trigger type is still PP. Now we're going to move on to the cymbals. We'll start off with the ride cymbal and then do the hi-hat. I'm going to cover the crash cymbal last because there are some different steps you're going to have to take with the crash cymbal. First we'll do the bow of the ride cymbal. The sound is set at 51 for the note. Gain is 10. Velocity curve is linear. Threshold is 10. Crosstalk is 1. Re-trigger cancel is 10. And it's type PS for piezo switch. That's the different type of electronic component that it uses. Now our bell. The note is 49. Gain is 20. It's a linear curve. Threshold is 5. Crosstalk is at 1. The re-trigger cancel is 10. And trigger type is still PS. Our hi-hat cymbal. Note is 46. Gain is 20. The velocity curve is linear. Threshold is 30. Crosstalk is at 1. Re-trigger cancel 2. And trigger type is selected PP because it's only a single zone cymbal. One thing that is different about the hi-hat, you're actually going to have 3 different MIDI notes. The open sound was 46, but watch what happens when I step on the pedal. The closed hi-hat sound is on 44. For the foot sound, and then the actual sound of the cymbals closed is 42. All of the other settings are going to stay the same. Okay, now we're going to talk about the crash cymbal. It is a little bit different. Let's first look at the notes before we make any changes. The crash sound is set on 57. The gain is 20. It's a linear curve. Threshold is 20. Crosstalk is 7. The retrigger cancel is at 0. And it's a piezo switch. Going to go back to the note, and I'm going to reach over and I'm going to grab the cymbal and choke it. You'll notice the note is 59. The gain is at 15. It's a linear curve. Threshold is 5. Crosstalk is 7. Retrigger cancel is 10, and it's a PS type trigger. Now this is where the chokeable crash gets a little bit confusing. If you've watched the original Alesis video, you'll have an understanding now of what I was talking about with the group feature. So we're going to zoom out and take a look at the actual DM5 module. Okay, now to make sure you're able to get a choke with a chokeable cymbal, you have to make sure both the choke and the crash sound are in the same group. And the reason for that, when they're in a group together, one sound will cut off the other. And that's exactly what you're trying to do with the choke. Yeah, otherwise you would still have that crash sound going when you try to choke your cymbal. To do that, what we're going to do is we've got our Alesis I/O set up. So we're going to press group. You'll notice that the note chase button is lit up. Go ahead and look at the screen here. You notice I've got it set up in group 2. And that's where you want both the crash and the choke. You want them set into group 2. Make sure you don't put them into group 1 because your hi-hat is already predetermined and is in group 1. The reason you don't want those two in the same group together is because if you do it crash and then go back to striking your hi-hat will choke out your crash sound. So we're going to put them both in group 2, and the only thing we did, we hit the group button and we used the little knob here, the value wheel, to put them in that group. Now another thing that you may have to do with the I/O, if you're looking for different sounds, we're going to hit the voice button to get to our voice area. Watch what happens when I strike tom 2. Okay, you notice that says it's tom 18, the inside medium. You can also change the sound just like you did with the regular DM5. Hit the voice button, scroll to your sound, you can change it. Now my tom 2 is a completely different sound. And you're going to store the kit just like you would with the regular DM5. You're not going to have to make any other changes in the I/O as long as you'll follow the guidelines that I just gave you. So we're going to go back, press drum set. You'll notice a little cursor, and I'm going to move to kit and come back to my original kit. That little cursor is gone. And voila, tom 2's back to its original sound. Well guys, that pretty much covers everything for the Alesis Trigger I/O used with the DM5 and Pintech drums. If you have any questions, please join us online on the Pintech forum. You can access it through the main website, pintechworld.com. We're always open for new members. We'd love to see you on there. Until then, take care and keep drumming.